I am Dr. Deepashree from the Department of Physiotherapy, School of Medical Sciences, USTM. Today we will learn the neuroanatomy series, lecture number 1. Today's topic is Introduction to Organization and Organization of Nervous System. Introduction part. As we all know, nervous system is a complex or widely investigated and least understood system of our human body. It regulates along with your endocrine system as well as function of all other system of our body. So, it is called as master system of our body. Basically, nervous system is divided into two terms. One central nervous system and that is your peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system is further divided into two category, one is your brain and another is spinal cord, and then peripheral nervous system again divided into two category, cranial nerves and the peripheral nerves or spinal nerves along with their ganglia. Coming to the central nervous system. Central nervous system, as I am already said, central nervous system is divided into brain and spinal cord, which are the main part or which are the main center where the correlation and integration of the nerve impulses are occur. Both brain and spinal cord are covered by some meninges and spinal fluid and protected by bone of the skull as well as vertebral column. The central nervous system is composed by large number of nerve cells which are known as neurons. The long process of nerve cells is known as axon or nerve fiber. Next, coming to the different part of the central nervous system, first coming to the brain has three parts: forebrain, then hindbrain and then midbrain. The forebrain is again divided into two parts, the diencephalon and the cerebellum. Midbrain is midbrain has no further division and hindbrain consists of pons, medulla and cerebellum. Then coming to the spinal cord, it consists of 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Spinal nerves are again divided into different categories. Number 1 cervical, 8 number of cervical spinal nerve, there is thoracic nerves, spinal nerves 12 number, then lumbar spinal nerve are 5 and then sacral spinal nerves are 5, then coccyx is 1. Then next coming to the brain. Okay, brain lies in the cranial cavity and it continues as spinal cord through the foramen magnum. It is surrounded by 3 meninges. These are known as dura mater, pia mater and arachnoid mater, which are corresponding continuous to the spinal cord. The cerebral spinal fluid are present in the subarachnoid space, which is the space between the arachnoid mater and the pia mater. Then brain has, I have already told, brain has 3 parts. One is hindbrain, one is forebrain, one is midbrain. Then hindbrain is divided again 3 parts. One is pons, medulla and cerebellum, and midbrain has no division and forebrain has a division of 2 parts. It is your diencephalon and one is your cerebrum. Another term is present in our brain is brainstem, which is the collective term for the midbrain, medulla and pons. If we remove the cerebellar hemisphere and the cerebellum from the brain, then remain part is the brainstem. Brain is composed in the inner side the white matter and in the outer side the grey matter. Then coming to the cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, which is consist of two cerebral hemisphere, and it is connected by a mass of white matter which is known as corpus callosum. Then hemispheres are separated by a deep cleft which is known as longitudinal fissures. The surface of the each cortex composed of grey matter. The cortex is composed of several elevation and depression which are known as gyri and sulci. The elevation part is known as gyri and depression part is known as sulci, and it gives the increased surface area to the cortex. Next, coming to the diencephalon part. Diencephalon is the most completely hidden part of the brain. It consists of anteriorly hypothalamus and posteriorly thalamus. The thalamus is a large egg-shaped organ or egg-shaped mass of grey matter which is situated both sides of the third ventricle. It forms the posterior boundary of the intraventricular foramen which is present between the third ventricle and the lateral ventricle. Then the hypothalamus forms the lower part of the lateral wall and the floor of the third ventricle. Next, coming to the midbrain. Midbrain is the narrow part of the brain which connect the forebrain with the hindbrain. The narrow cavity of the midbrain is the cerebral aqueduct which connect the third and fourth ventricle. Next, coming to the hindbrain parts, medulla oblongata. Number one parts is medulla oblongata which is a conical shape, and it superiorly connect with the pons and inferiorly connect with the spinal cord. And coming to the next portion of the hindbrain, that is your pons. Pons is situated on the anterior surface of the cerebellum, and inferiorly it connected with the midbrain and superiorly it connected with the medulla oblongata. Then coming to the cerebellum, cerebellum lies within the posterior cranial fossa in front of the pons and the medulla. It consists of two lateral hemisphere which is separated by a median fissures or median portion which is known as vermis. The cerebellum connected with the midbrain by the superior cerebral peduncle, with the pons by middle cerebral peduncle, and with the medulla by inferior cerebral peduncle. The peduncles are composed of large bundle of nerve fiber which are connecting to the cerebellum with the remaining part of the nervous system. Next, coming to the spinal cord. The spinal cord is situated in the vertebral canal of the vertebral column. It is surrounded by, again as brain, surrounded by three meninges: dura mater, arachnoid mater and pia mater, and it is also covered or suspended by the cerebrospinal fluid at the portion of subarachnoid space. It is roughly cylindrical shape, which is superiorly begin from the foramen magnum of the skull, and it is end with the lumbar region. Next, coming to the structure of spinal cord. The spinal cord is composed inner side in grey matter and outer side in white matter, which is opposite to the brain. Brain is composed of inner side in white matter and outer side is grey matter. The grey matter is seen as a H-shaped pillar which produces anterior and posterior columns or horns, and it consists a thin small canal in between it. The white matter has three parts: anterior, lateral and posterior column. Next, coming to the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. They are run, the spinal nerves are run throughout the body. So, although it is covered by the nerve sheath, it has tendency to injured or more likely unprotected due to more likely unprotected by trauma. Then different parts of the peripheral nervous system, cranial nerves and its ganglia, 12 pairs of, there are 12 pairs of cranial nerve and 31 pairs of spinal nerve. It has several, as I am told earlier, it has several sections like cervical 8, then thoracic 12, then lumbar 5 and sacral 5, then coccyx 1. Then cranial nerves, there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Number 1 is olfactory nerves, which is responsible for our smell. Then optic nerve, which is responsible for our vision. Then number 3 is oculomotor, it is responsible for our eyeball movement. Then number 4 is trochlear, it is also responsible for our eyeball movement. Then number 5th, trigeminal nerve, it is responsible for the sensation of our face as well as motor. Our motor portion supplies our masseter and temporalis muscle, which helps us in mastication. Then abduction, it is responsible for our eyeball movement. Then coming to the 7th cranial nerve is facial, which is responsible for facial expression of our face. Then vestibulocochlear, which is responsible for our balance and posture maintaining. Then glossopharyngeal and vagus, these are responsible for our tongue movement as well as voice production. Then accessory nerve, which is responsible for our shoulder muscle strand. Then hypoglossal, it is responsible for our tongue muscle movement. Then coming to the spinal nerves, each spinal nerves has 2 nerve root, these are anterior and posterior. The anterior nerve root supplies the information or carrying the information from the away from the central nervous system. So, it is known as efferent or motor fiber also. It the information away from the central nervous system coming to the muscles and it causes the muscle contraction. So, it is known as muscle motor fiber also. The cells of the anterior nerve roots are present in the anterior ganglion or anterior horn. The posterior nerve root consists of the bundle of nerve fiber, which are known as afferent it carries the impulses from the periphery to the central nervous system, because it is concerned about sensory part like touch, pain, these all. The cell body of the posterior nerve root are present in the posterior horn cell. Thank you.